Hello, welcome to and welcome back to HBCU, the show, the channel, the podcast. I am one of the co-hosts, Good Rising Good People, Bobby K, and my co-host.
Hashim, the dream, you already know what it is.
And our editor / honorary host, Wale Not Wales.
Good morning to everybody. Hope everyone's having a good Sunday. Yeah. Remember, don't be a sickness. We do not want it. And we welcome our honorary special guest.
What's going on, y'all? Taylor Blue Clark. I go by Blue. I'm excited to be on the show. Yeah, so I'm a model. Finished up school. I met Hashim, I want to say 2017, maybe 2018. Yeah, we go way back with the Nesby, big part of our lives. So I've been following the podcast, and I thought it'd be really cool to be a guest, and they gave me the opportunity. So appreciate y'all.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate the support. Appreciate you being a special guest on the show. We always appreciate all of our special guests. And for the background of Blue as well. So yeah. Now that we got the intros out the way, you guys see the title of the video. It is a topic we've been meaning to do for a long while. And I do mean a long while. But we are here today to discuss it, delve into it. Someone put this tweet up and it kind of just sparked this topic for us to delve into, which is logic versus emotions. So the tweet says, and I quote, "Saying men are logical and women are emotional is just a cowardly way of saying you think women are dumber than men." What? End quote. So I remember seeing this tweet personally for the first time, and I was extremely fucking confused. I'm not gonna hold y'all, I was confused. Because I didn't know how we jumped to the hoop of just like how we went from like logic versus emotion to smart versus dumb. So maybe you guys can tell me like how did that happen? Like was it pandering or like what was the thought process here?
Go for it.
Can I speak right quick?
Yes. Yeah.
The simplified version, no, I should say the Wally version is it's a tweet on Twitter. A lot of people post dumb shit on Twitter. I'm just saying.
Oh.
Anyways.
I would like to say that it's probably who wrote it, like gender wise.
It was a man. It was a black man. Yes.
What? Okay, I didn't expect that. I did not expect that. That's why I asked.
Gotcha.
So maybe it's like saying like since men speak think logically, that's more related to like thinking of solutions to problems and stuff like that, rather than emotionally, which don't bring up solutions. Maybe I'm really confused why. Huh?
The only thing I could think of is that he might be playing into that men don't really touch into their emotions as much as women do, and that's his only real argument. But other than that, that tweet's just crazy.
Yeah,
I have a couple problems with the tweet. The first one is like the intention of the tweet. Like you tweeted this, and I feel like he tweeted this just to stir the pot, because for the people who don't have Twitter, Wale, there's like this gender war thing that goes down in the subsection of Twitter. Hashim's probably seen it. Am I right?
Yeah.
Right, Hashim?
Yeah.
Where there's a bunch of like men and women close to around our age that literally spend all their time nonstop tweeting bullshit about the other gender, the opposite way. Men ain't shit, men are trash. All these women are just bitches, blah, 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 blah. Who should pay for their first date? And I think this type of tweet just delves into that cesspool of like counterproductive conversation.
No, I completely agree. It doesn't add any value to anyone's day, honestly. Just talking, saying men ain't shit, women ain't shit. Like, your men ain't shit or your women ain't shit, like the people you interact with. But putting that general statement out doesn't add anything to anybody's life. Like it doesn't help. I mean, maybe makes that person feel good, but other than that, you're just wasting your time.
I feel like that they deal with the same, and it goes for both men and women. They deal with the same woman or guy over and over. So like, oh, they're all the same. But like, damn, like you don't got other friends that are not like villains, super villains, making an origin story.
They dealing with real life Joes, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like, damn.
For me, if they want to use the intelligent card, I would think of it as like for emotions, you need to be emotionally intelligent too. And women, if they're more in tune with their emotions, they can voice how they feel instead of like men who have to. I mean, we think more logically, but we bottle things up for whatever reason, and that may stunt our growth emotionally, and we may fuck up and make a mistake emotionally because again, we don't work on it, we don't express it, we don't use it often. So if they want to go from that angle, like I would say, yeah, men are more logical, but women are more emotionally intelligent. So if you want to create a problem over, like you really just create a problem over nothing. And I want to know what the purpose of this tweet. Like, is he saying this because, like, what is the context? I feel like there's a missing piece or scenario that I need to get the full story. But yeah, that's what I think.
I don't think there's a missing piece. I think that he must have saw men always like on podcasts or on Twitter saying how men are more logical about things, which the insinuation that because someone could be more logical based than emotion based automatically means they're more intelligent is not the case. Because there's instances where being emotional in a situation could actually be the more intelligent approach. Yeah. For example, like, you know, if somebody, like, God forbid, does some harm to your relative or to someone close to you, maybe it's a homie of yours or your significant other, if you only think logically, then you might not have the best solution or the solution that could work best in that situation, rather than having an emotional awareness and an intelligence to certain circumstances that's extreme.
So what solution would be, what would be the difference in the solutions there? I'm just curious.
Wait, what do you mean?
Because if I'm thinking logically, I'm gonna get them back from beating up my family. Emotionally, I'm gonna get them back from beating up my family.
well, logically, to count up what you just said, logically, someone might look at it, if they don't use their emotional balance at all, will be like, well, you know, this person kind of like, robbed my house, or, they punched my mom in the face, but, karma's gonna get them back. I don't know going to jail.
Bobby's trying to say, I see what he's trying to say.
I guess so that is logical. The consequences is happening after the fact. But I think logically speaking, the man robbed my house and punched my mom in the face.
Yeah, something's coming to you. I'm doing something about that. I mean, honestly, the argument starts to bend a little bit because your logic is not the same as someone else's. So if we're talking about somebody that's in the hood and that happens to them, they might just run up on them the next day. If someone that's in the suburbs or a rich, pretty boy, they're not going to think about it like that. They're going to have maybe somebody else go handle it, or they're just going to, just take it on the chin, I guess. But most people,
street code logic there. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Most people are gonna do something about that.
Blue, let me ask you something, bro. So I guess it's a two-part question. So first off, do you think that both men and women hold logic and emotion at a like both experience that and think in that way? And two, who do you think that this is true, that one is more logical than the other and one's more emotional than the other, or is it kind of like the same?
It's tough. I think that men definitely have more issues with their emotions and trying to understand them and comprehend them and express them. But women, they tend to express them really well, and maybe sometimes too much. There is a balance that each individual has to find when it comes to having conversations or arguments and saying, is it really worth my time? And expressing those feelings accurately. I don't think that it's really equates to intelligence, being able to control your emotions. Emotional intelligence is its own thing. And, you know, as an individual, you just have to go through your own experiences to continue to, you know, sharpen that sword and see how you can use it and how you can fit it into different situations. So I would give women the edge in emotional intelligence as a whole because they have more experience with their emotions. You know, as we said earlier, men just don't access them and use them as much. But yeah, I think that answers your question.
I I completely agree with what you're saying and how like they're both men and women are both intelligent. I must say that women can be intelligent or is it just as intelligent as men, or what they say is like men being more intelligent, but like they
I would
sometimes
argue
choose to
they're more
ignore.
intelligent.
Yeah, it all depends on the person, honestly. But
Mhm.
they choose to ignore the logical answer and more so sway with their emotions.
Right.
Like if somebody is like cheat on you like 3 times, you probably should break up with them. That's
Logically.
logically, right?
But emotionally, you attached though. Your
Yeah.
heart is where you know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
heartstring.
But then
So,
that's
right.
there's an argument to be said now. If someone's cheating, fellas, if someone's cheating on you 3 times, or ladies, if
It wouldn't
guys
get
cheat
to
on
the
you,
3 times.
It shouldn't get to the second time.
that's what I'm saying. So like
The
you
first time is
choosing
quick.
to ignore these hard-on facts. I guess you would say is all right. Are you being intelligent? You just like, is there an issue of intelligence here, common sense? Like, why are you ignoring the easy, logical answer? Is it that you're
Yeah, but that's
oblivious to it? Is it that you I don't know, man. Maybe you're using think.
they know the answer. So like they know what they should do, but sometimes emotions get in the way, and that could happen for both men and women.
Yeah.
It and that's why like there's like you can have group chats, and I think women depend more on others' opinions, like their friends' opinions.
Mhm.
Even though they could be like, oh, I shouldn't do this, but if everybody else says this, then like I feel better about myself for doing this
But that's stupid though, isn't it?
action.
So Hashim, I think
Yeah.
women do base more of their opinions and things off of what their homegirls say, but I think men do more decisions to try to impress their homeboys, if that makes sense. So I think guys do that stuff too. Like dudes be making moves sometimes, especially when it comes to involving women to try to impress their homeboys. Like, yo, oh, you see that fine girl over there? Oh, let me try to go over there and talk to her, even though, like, logically, like she working out. Like maybe you shouldn't be trying to holler at her, you know what I'm saying,
I
while she's doing
think
bench press or something. You know what I mean?
I
But
think that's a little different just because he's making the decision. Although it could be to impress his friends, he's still making the decision on his own, right? With a like
is he
ultimate
making it on
motive.
his own?
He could just say, "Oh yeah, she's bench pressing. Let me not talk to her," right? Although like his friends want, but he's still going to do that. Well, woman, it was like, "Oh, let me ask my friends before I make this decision."
I feel like all of us have been individually have been in situations where we've been around our homeboys, like our guy friends in a public setting, and have been like, yo, bro, we see you looking, like, are you gonna try to talk to her? Are you gonna try to approach? Like what, you know what I'm saying? And no guy, like in a situation realistically is going to want to come off as scared or timid to try to approach. So they're gonna think from kind of a emotional perspective and be like, yo, let me go and see what happens, even though I might get rejected in front of my peoples. Is that not an emotional decision?
It's the art of peer pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Since we all agree that women are more emotionally intelligent or more intact or more in touch with their emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And since men aren't, do you think that could be used as like a form of manipulation
is emotional intelligence used as a form of manipulation?
Women
Can
on
be.
men, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Wait,
Yeah.
so you saying a form of manipulation against women or against men?
Against men.
I guess men.
Uh,
Yeah.
Of
yeah,
course.
I could
Yes.
say so.
Yeah, I agree.
But wouldn't we be able to see it if we're more logical?
No,
Mhm.
because the thing is with logic is that it's kind of like I don't want to say like men are like robotic, but like you're kind of like, unfortunately, especially as Black men, in instances like upbringing, you're kind of not told, but it's kind of like insinuated for you to not be like in touch with your emotions as much as you should be. So when you sometimes based from just a logic perspective, you almost think like an artificial intelligence way. It's like an AI, like, okay, so I need to do this, and then do this to do this, and then I kind of want to do this and then do this. So like if a woman is like emotionally manipulating you, you might not really realize it in that time. You kind of realize in hindsight, like, damn, she was really like taking me for everything I'm worth. She was really like not appreciating all this shit I was trying to do, blah, 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 but you couldn't see it though.
I feel
You
like
see what I'm
you
saying?
wouldn't even see it after. It's more so your friends making you realize, like, yo, she's really like taking advantage of you. Or
Mm,
every time she cried, it was not like because she was sad. It was just because you didn't give her what she wanted at that moment.
mm,
I feel like it plays into like women would use some subtle emotional, I guess, stimulation, right? And so as a guy,
mm,
you kind of think on that, and so you feel like maybe an act of service would, I don't know, make you feel happy or something. And so at times, women continue to do that same process, that same stimulation, and the guy's not even thinking about it because he knows after the fact that he's going to feel good about it. But in turn, all the friends, like you guys said, on the outside looking like, that's really crazy that you're doing that right now. You should probably be thinking about that logically. But in the moment, the man is just completely blinded by that subtle emotional stimulation because that's what he's been doing and experiencing. And until he actually like takes a step back outside of the situation and thinks about his own emotions in the moment and like, is this really right? Is this really wrong? Then they can't really process it.
mm.
So I'm gonna comment on this because um the way you guys are phrasing this, like saying, "Oh yeah, yo, what you're doing and what she's doing is not adding up," right? I had that experience last year, so I'm gonna say, because women tend to be more emotionally intelligent, like you said, emotional stimulation. If you are the type to not use your emotions too much, and you get a taste of it, and now it's like things are looking good, and now you're like the floodgates are opening a little bit and you don't know, you're not turning it off, so now you're just like, oh shit, she's this, she's that, all right, let me do this and this, like you trying to think
Right.
logically, yeah, let me do this and this to calm this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like when things go wrong again and what your logical steps aren't working, like you're communicating whatnot, it's not working, now emotionally you're like, what am I doing wrong now? What do I need to do? Am I fucking up? This, that, and the third. Your mind's in overdrive now. That's a possible thing. So if you're emotionally weak in that sense, like intelligently weak, you are putting yourself at risk for now, really, as you said, being manipulated. Like now you're a piece on a chessboard and you're moving the way someone else wants you to. And
Right.
then it's not until you take that step out that situation, think emotionally and then logically at the same time. Like, all right, emotionally, what was my state of mind? How am I feeling now? And what's the next move so I don't feel like this? Or if I keep moving like this, will I feel better emotionally or I feel worse?
I feel like
Right.
women have a better sense of like a broader perspective in most instances than we do, to be honest.
Can you go in depth in that?
Even in a relationship sense, like they're looking at it from a long-term view because obviously for a lot of women, their goal in life, one of their main goals is to get married, for example. So like, or get a house. So they kind of like make decisions while they're in a relationship with you from like a broader perspective than like a guy who's looking more short term and looking at like what's right in front of them in terms of like making certain decisions or going to travel here or this, that, and the third, if that makes sense. To me.
I would think it would be the opposite.
Really?
Especially like when women are younger, they have more options, but also like they're thinking more on emotion. So if something happens, it might be a bigger issue than it really is supposed to be. And I'm thinking like long term for guys, because they're thinking like, oh, if we make this decision, what would happen later on? Like if we buy this, but we're also saving for something later on, I don't think we should buy this.
Yeah, I think I agree with Hashim there.
You know?
What do you think, Blue?
I think that it's tough again because it falls into both. I can see Hashim's point because if you're in a committed relationship, you're thinking about those type of things. You want to make sure that everything in the basics and the foundation is sturdy. Don't be wasting, money on emotional purchases. But if you're trying to get into a relationship or like before you're committed, I'm thinking on the short term because I'm not looking for, the one or, hoping to build into a marriage off rip. And I need to experience the person and see how things act out. So it's kind of goes on to, this is a whole different topic, but like dating to marry or dating for experience.
Yeah,
that is definitely a different topic.
I want to get into that real quick, because that still involves like emotion and logic, So dating, what is dating? That's basically like dating for fun, right?
No, I disagree. I date to experience personally. I've been in a lot of relationships where my partner dates to marry, and I feel like at times it puts unneeded pressure on the relationship to make these important decisions at an early stage. Dating to experience, it kind of like, it doesn't mean that you can't build a future with a person, but you're living in the moment and you're seeing what you guys can do to enjoy each other's time in the moment. You kind of plan things around, your current lifestyles and see where things take you. That's how I like to think about it. Now, a lot of other people try to take it, it's like you said, for fun or just, pits and giggles, but like, it's all about what you value for yourself. And so for me, I try to make sure that like, you might not check all the boxes on my future goals, but like, I'm really into you right now. So I'm gonna just go on a couple of dates, see how this is lasting and seeing if we want to take it to the next level. But I'm not gonna be like, hey, she marks all the boxes and I need to give her a ring soon. That's not my
perspective.
Hold on. Can I wait? So
good.
I think we also had different definitions of dating, right? And
okay.
We talked about this in a different episode. So you're talking about dating like in the sense of like you meet somebody, it's like, all right, let me get to know you. She's not your girlfriend at that point. Right? Okay, so I think of it differently. And I think Bobby and Wale think of it as the other way as well, right?
As my way? Or
as your way.
I think dating, and like Hashim said, we talked about this before in a different episode, but like dating and I guess talking is like, I guess two different things. So like dating, I feel like is like when you're in the process of like seeing if you want to be with this person exclusively. So like basically be in a relationship with this person or be like partners with this person. And I say it's all about perspective from like what you said, Blue, because it's like dating, when you're dating actively, you're gaining experience. Inevitably, you're learning new ways to talk to people. You're learning, you're going on different dates, different types of dates, different experiences that you wouldn't normally do by yourself or with your friends. And you're kind of learning more of what you like versus certain things that you might not like. There's certain habits when you're single that you realize, like dating multiple people, like, damn, I don't really like the person that kind of talks like this or has this mentality, compared to like only dating to marry. Like I get it from a long-term view, but like you have to make sure you have the right person. And the only way to know if you have the right flavor is to sample different options.
Facts.
If that makes sense.
Facts.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
So
this man had Ben and Jerry's picking the flavors.
You got to do your Baskin and Robbins before you can find, your cookies and cream. You You feel me?
That's crazy.
Yeah, nah.
flavor.
I you know what I mean? I'm just saying that's my analogy, but I think that kind of correlates logic and emotion together. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like they work hand in hand. It's not two separate things like an alpha and omega. They work together. In order to
Yeah.
make any decision, you're using both of them, relatively speaking. Sometimes it might be one more than the other, though.
You know what? You inspire me. Sorry. Just want to say this real quick. You inspired me to think of something that I kind of worked on with my therapist. Men
Shout out
sometimes
to
think
private therapists.
yeah, black men go get a therapist. It's important.
I'm gonna highlight that.
For real. But she's mentioned that men sometimes think logically first and emotionally after, while women think emotionally first and then logically after. So trying to understand what you need for each situation, like being able to flip-flop, I think the important thing is that we need to start thinking emotionally first, process those emotions, and then what are the next steps logically. And that's the process that we've been working on, and just trying to understand as a whole. You know, it allows us to understand those emotions, and then we make logical decisions, you know, following.
That's a good point.
That's tough too, because like in that situation, it could be like you're in an argument or something, and you're gonna be emotional, right? But to accept, like, deal with those feelings off rip, and then make the proper choice, or proper choice in your head. That's
Yeah, and what does
tough.
that look like?
Yeah.
Because you're in a heated argument, right? And one of you takes it upon yourself to say, you understand that this is getting heated. So you say, all right, wait, stop. Let's just take a moment. Let me take a moment and give me like 30 minutes. I'm gonna take a walk, cool my head. That other person's like, oh, so you just don't want to talk to me, blah, blah, blah. Like that right there.
Why do
where
I
it's
feel like you've been in this situation before, Wale?
no, not at all. Nah,
No
not at
personal
all.
experience, huh?
Nah, not at all.
You're a damn
I'm
liar.
an observer, bro. Observer of life. This is what I just see, you know. But
Okay,
Right,
so
right.
watching birds, huh? And you just seen things. Okay, I feel
yeah.
you.
It's like where. So at that instance, like where is that? I guess my question is, yeah, what does that look like? Because
You
it's all
shouldn't.
perspective, like Bobby would say. Like there's things in different perspective. Like I'm understanding that I'm pissed off and I don't want this situation to get worse. So and right now, every time we're talking, it's not getting any better. So let me take a step back and reconvene. Is that not using my emotions intelligently with my logic?
The thing with
right.
that is your filter shouldn't only be on when you're in a heated argument with someone. You
I
need
know that. I'm just saying that's a like
Yeah.
Hashim said, that's a tough moment to say, to think, to use your emotions and logically at the same time versus logically first, process, and then actually Blue said that logically first, then emotionally think about it. I'm talking about in the moment.
I don't think that's
No,
hard if you have a certain level of respect for the person that you have an argument with to begin with, and that's the part of it too. If you're in an emotional disagreement, like with your significant other, for example, and you feel the need because you can't process what you're trying to say with your points, you feel the need to start name calling or saying things that's out of pocket, then you suck at emotional intelligence. You
Emotional
suck
damage.
at being a grown-ass adult and speaking in a way and communicating in a way that is productive. So that's on you. That's on you for your anger issues. That's on you for not knowing how to problem solve. That's on you for not being able to critically think. So quite frankly, you don't have logic or emotions intelligence. You are just like on a whim, just out here in space, like Hashim's background. You just in space. You don't know what the hell going on. You know what I'm saying?
But that also comes down, you wouldn't do all that if you didn't respect the person, like Wale was saying. If you don't respect the person, if you respect the person, you're not going to name call them, or you try your best to like think of a reasonable explanation. But if it's some stranger that you don't care about,
I wasn't the one cursing out. I'm just saying.
Sure.
Huh?
Nah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
I wasn't.
You've name called me several times.
Bro, I'm talking about in the argument with your partner, damn it.
Yeah.
But time out. This can apply to your friends too, though.
Right.
Because different friends
Yeah.
have different ways of.
But that's
like you
I
though.
think
No, I'm
I
joking.
think that's different just because you're also talking to another guy. If it's your friend, right? Well, you got girlfriends. Oh, wow.
Right.
But
Jesus.
say.
This guy here. He
But I
said no
say you
platonic friendships.
if it's your friend, it depends on your type of relationship. You know that type of relationship that you have with your friend. So sometimes you can say stuff out of pocket and just be fine. You're still gonna be friends after. It's different.
Like you.
I don't say stuff out of pocket. Most of the time I'm trolling.
The hard for them.
Huh?
He's gonna get between them. Yeah. What's your barber body count?
Barber count,
Okay.
not barber body.
Barber body.
Yo, if you think about listen to the initials for that too. That's crazy, right?
BC.
What did he say?
Barber body count. I don't say something insulting out of pocket. I
Oh,
just
okay,
say
there you
funny
go.
stuff that's wild, you know.
Oh,
sometimes,
I
occasionally.
thank you.
Yeah, I had to
Clarify
clarify.
yourself,
I had to
brother.
You know,
clarify.
I think it is like overall. I think that you need a certain level of like a combination of both, like Blue was saying, and learn how to not translate, but like speak your emotions or vocalize it as well.
You're aware of them.
Yeah, and it's an important thing to get in touch with your emotions, which I think men are emotional and might not just show it to the world or
Mm-hmm.
women, just because they could be seen as like weaker or
Mm-hmm.
they had experience of them getting taken advantage and that information being used against them. So why do it? And it's not what may be pleasing to a woman's eye if you're
AKA
such an
beta
emotional
male.
person. Sure, yeah. You can be viewed as like out of control, you know,
Mhm.
anger issues, or oh, he's always sad. He's a sad boy. Blah blah. He's soft.
So I guess the last question to kind of tie everything together for all of us individually is, do you consider yourself more logical or more emotional? I'm talking about on a regular basis, not just for certain situations. Blue, you could go first.
Well, if you phrase it in like that, I have to say logical. I do feel like I have a very high emotional intelligence based off my experiences, and I hear it from my friends every once in a while. I'm not like just tooting my own horn. Like people tell me this randomly, and I'm just like, all right,
Nah,
I
toot
guess.
it, toot your home.
But I would say I would think logically if you want to phrase it like that, because I tend to try to be empathetic and put myself in other people's shoes, seeing what they're thinking about when they're being emotional with me, or just telling me about an emotional situation. And I'm able to like see from the outside perspective, like I'm looking at the room as it's happening and try to decipher what's going on and the best point of action and how you should talk to this person, how you should talk to that person. So I guess it would be logical in that sense.
I think 100% logical. Like even like I give an example. Like I go to work, right, and they check my ID, and I be saying good morning, right. Sometimes they don't be saying good morning. I'm like, yo, fuck you then, bro. Like, damn. As I drive, it's like somebody hold like go through a door and don't hold it. I'm like, damn. Or you hold the door and they don't say
And they don't
thank
say
you. It's
nothing.
like, yo,
Yeah.
damn. But in my
Right.
head, I'm like, okay, this person, he's doing this for like OD people. So I could get the sense of like, you don't want to say it. You know, you're probably tired, don't know what you're going through. So I just, I calm myself down a little bit. Overall, I think logical, man.
I'd say based on my experiences and everything, I would say I think more logically too. It's funny because some people, when I talk to people about certain things, they say I'm more into my emotions, and other people say I'm not. They could tell I'm hiding something or I'm not as expressive for whatever reason. I need to know y'all, Bobby and Hashim's opinions. I'm curious on that, but like Blue said, I'm similar to that. When I hear people's problems and whatnot, I process it and I say my answers like, oh, wow, that's really logical, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to myself, I guess for whatever reason, I'm giving off an aura that emotionally I'm closed off or I'm not open to
Hold on.
Anyways,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Continue what you were saying, Wale.
So I would say I think more logically, but I will say emotionally, I still have some things to learn because once I for myself, mainly not for other people. So for this is only for relationships, and once like I feel myself slipping, is when when I notice like I mean it's not too late, but then it's like damn, I need to catch myself because now like what the fuck? Why am I getting to this point? And then it's like I'll overthink and put myself in a thinking loop, and it's just like it'll take its toll on me. And then so certain situations I'm definitely more logical. In case of relationships, definitely emotional, just not as intelligent.
Yeah.
I'll answer your question of where I think you fit on the spectrum but first for me, I think if you asked me this like 5 to 7 years ago, like when I was in college and everything like that, and I was in my early 20s, and I was in, sir, you are older than me. Stop. You might, I was rudely interrupted. If you asked me this about 5, 7 years ago, like when I was in college, when I was in a previous relationship, whatever, I probably would have said, honestly, like looking back on it, probably more emotional in terms of like, I guess having more triggers, I guess, but also not really being able to manage my emotions, not in terms of like having outbursts, but in terms of kind of like overthinking on autopilot, like on go, like, you know what I'm saying, all the time, kind of like what you said, Wale, kind of thinking always on a loop. And it kind of still happens in terms of like overthinking, but not as much. I think at this point in my phase of life, with like more maturity and more experience and just having a better kind of just understanding on the things I have control over, I'm definitely more logical based now. But I still have a semblance of emotion, like what Blue said, in terms of having empathy for other people and looking at things from a different perspective outside of my own. Because it's very easy to become in like a bubble mentality, where you only look after what like harms you or what affects you personally, and what like damages your emotions. And you don't really understand in the moment sometimes how your decisions can fuck up somebody else's emotions and fuck up like their thought or mentality or esteem of themselves in a way, because like you're so like kind of like selfish in a way, if that makes sense. So I think like, yeah, I'm like probably 75-80% logical, but like 20% emotional, but it also kind of blends together at this point in my life.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, I think you can be emotional sometimes, but also it's more of a personality thing too. I think you do think logically majority of the time. I do think you try to be strategic, but I do think you can be emotional like in certain instances where like someone says something.
I wonder why.
I wonder why too.
I wonder
Shots
why.
fired.
Like I have a
Right,
trigger.
Right? Yeah.
Jesus, this man got an AK-47 in this bitch.
Locked
But
and loaded.
yeah, crazy. I think Hashim is definitely logic for sure, full throttle. I've never seen this man in a decade plus have a just emotional reaction or response to almost anything outside the basketball court when I'm cooking him. So yeah, that's what I would say from my perspective for y'all.
Oh, your my perspective. Yeah, I think you got your moments, man. But I think it comes with passion. It's passionate. So like if you're really passionate about a certain topic, then it's like you'll go at it with like 100%. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think you're quite an intelligent young lad.
Young lad. Thank you, sir.
Young lad.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And what about your thoughts on Blue, y'all? I mean, how y'all feel?
Whoa! You didn't say about us two. What the hell?
I think he's a calm, you know, like he said, he like looks like he's very in control of his emotions. Just about the way he speaks too. But yeah, you gotta see people in like a lot of different instances to get
Right.
like a full grasp
Exactly.
of how they handle situations, you know.
Based off of
Yeah,
based off of what I've seen and heard, I would say that Blue is definitely more logical. But I don't know Blue like in enough. I need to see him in different spaces before I can really determine it. Cause you know what I'm saying, he could be just doing it for the camera. You know what I mean? He could be just being chill. You know what I'm saying? He could be just keeping it. You know what I'm saying? Keeping it kosher for the camera. You know what I mean? He might be a little bit more emotional off camera. But from right here, I would say, yeah, more logic.
I mean, since Bobby want to talk bullshit on Blue's behalf, I'm gonna say Blue, based on what you've told us about you being in therapy and as a Black man, if that's for the camera, listen, man, you promote something really good. You're showing us that you are being more emotional outside of the camera, Bobby. So, and you're putting that on blast for us, and you're sharing that with us. You
Why
feel
is
the
it so
need
much
to-
shade on me? I don't understand.
You feel the need to express yourself on that
Emotion.
personal level, emotionally with us, and we appreciate that. So yeah, I think you could be more logically, but definitely more intelligently in tune with yourself, and obviously high intelligence, as you said.
The one way I was thinking is like, there's really no process or no separation between the two, right? Emotional intelligence is the combination of those things. So if you feel like you have a high emotional intelligence, you're gonna think logically and think emotionally. It's just different situations and all about how you process those steps where you take the emotion, you understand it, you like sit on it, and then you have the reaction, and then you have how you deal with the situation. But the second thing I wanted to mention is, which is kind of funny, like a lot of my friends tell me that I don't have emotions, right?
Yeah.
Despite my emotion.
That's crazy. He said
Hear me
you a
out.
demon. That's crazy.
Hear me out. That I don't have emotions, but my emotional intelligence is through the roof. And I find it pretty interesting because while I was saying that earlier, like he thinks he has friends tell him he's emotionally intelligent as well, but he also has a hard time processing his own emotions. And people say he doesn't have emotions, or I forgot what the phrase you said. You just don't express them.
I'm not as open. Like I'm not
Oh, it's
open
open,
expressing
right?
my whatever I'm thinking emotionally.
Right, and I kind of felt kind of the same way because I hear the same thing about me. They just say no emotions instead. But it's interesting. I feel like based off my experiences, I just process my emotions very quickly, and also in a way that doesn't like allow others to really visualize it. Like it takes a lot to get me mad. Like so, I really rarely get mad at somebody unless they're just being completely disrespectful. And at moments where most people would just like split, I'm just on to the next one, I guess. So I find it kind of funny how y'all just mean me really. So saying I'm emotional or like I have those experiences because thinking about my friends, like they don't see that at all.
I actually kind of understand what your friends are saying, because you can be like emotionally intelligent when it comes to other people, but not be vulnerable yourself. Right. So, like Wale, like you said, with not having struggles with openness, when you are not in a space with someone or group of people where you feel that you can express yourself, or you're not sure how to, it's also you have to learn over time how to express yourself in a way where people are going to be receptive to it and people are going to understand it. Any lasting thoughts on the tweet or any lasting thoughts on the topic overall?
I think it's wild that a guy tweeted that.
What'd you just say?
I said I think it's wild that a guy made that tweet because it doesn't sound like a guy would make that tweet.
There's really no correlation between the two topics, like
at all.
I mean, that's Twitter.
This is a dumb tweet. This is a dumb tweet.
That's Twitter, bro.
Oh, I was gonna have my disclaimer warning, but I'm not gonna do it because we have a guest. I'm just saying it's Twitter. It's Twitter. It's Twitter. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's called the Bird app for a reason.
Oh damn.
Yeah, my lasting thoughts personally, yeah, I don't really understand the tweet. I do understand the tweet. I think that it was partially due to some pandering, which unfortunately there's plenty of people that do that on Twitter where they see some type of narrative or agenda that's being discussed and they put out a tweet to try to pander, so to speak, to a specific demographic that they feel like they can get something from. It's actually kind of manipulative if you think about it, but I'm not gonna go that far. But from my perspective, like I've said, they blend together. Logic and emotion blend together. Just because you're more logical does not mean you're more intelligent. Just because you're more emotional doesn't mean you have any intelligence whatsoever. You need to have intelligence to be emotionally aware. Point blank, period.
Yeah, I'd agree that tweet's just dumb. Like I can't get around it. Pandering to who? I don't know why, but like he must have been on one whenever he tweeted that because it doesn't make any sense. But in terms of emotions, like you said, it's a blend of logic and emotion. Emotional intelligence is something that needs to be valued more in our culture or just in society because it really does go a long way in understanding another and trying to avoid problems in general. If people just have more emotional intelligence, I think the world would probably be a better place.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Wale.
Yeah.
Get the fuck off Twitter.
Damn. Last question before we end, and it could be a quick response. What do you guys think of like when I don't know if you've seen videos like girls crying, and obviously that means they videotaped themselves crying.
Mm-hmm.
Went to post it, looked at it, said it was good, and then posted themselves crying.
Edited it.
That's yeah, it could be, but that's I just want to say that I think that's just a weird outlet. But
I think that's emotionally unintelligent. And I think that everyone grieves in different ways, but like if for me, I think grieving or crying, especially something that's so impersonal, should be something that's left offline. So you need to be more logical and practical and get the hell off of social media when you're having that type of emotional response. When you're crying and doing that stuff instead of using it for fucking clout.
I think that it's a pretty weird play. Honestly, influencers do stuff like that all the time, and it gets some clicks, it gets some shares or whatever. And it's weird. People think that they're expressing their emotions, but no, you're really just like acting to a sense. You do record, you hit record, and then you start crying, and then you put it to a reel or a sound or something, and then you share that. It may get other shares because other people are actually feeling that in the moment, and they're actually expressing that emotion, saying like, "Damn, I'm really down in the dumps today." So they share that original. But the person who started it, like, you really wasn't feeling that. You just put it together to get the clicks and get the views. It's like when people play, or I've seen the videos a couple of times. Yeah, probably did too. Talking about like dead animals, and they have the animal in their hand, and they're recording that. Have you ever seen those videos?
What videos are y'all watching? People
No.
crying.
It's Instagram it's just reels, bro. I have no control over it. But there was one where this girl had her snake. It was a big ass snake, and she was just crying over it and just whining about it. Everyone roasted her, like, "Why do you have your dead snake in your hands and you're sharing this video?" And that's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, who does that?
Yeah, I ain't seen those videos, bro.
You ain't
I don't know what. It's just, it's not it. It's not for me. Won't catch me. But yeah, I just want to bring that up in case of my mind. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, give us new topics, comment. Thank you, Blue, for being a great guest today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for being the one to put this to rest, because Bobby would not shut up about it.
Hey man, it had to be discussed, and HBCU is perfect place for us to do it. Thank you, Blue, like Hashim said, for being on the show. Make sure you guys follow us HBCU3 on Instagram. Polls, questions, all the posts, reels, all that stuff, content that was there. Follow us on TikTok, DHBCU Podcast. All our individual socials is in the bio of our podcast page. If you want to follow us individually. Blue, do you want to give your ad name?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Instagram. Blue is the color. Blue IZ the color. A whole bunch of modeling content. Just trying to get myself out there. So
Okay, model. We see you, GQ.
yeah, I'm trying.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching us. More confessions and episodes. We will be doing the U reviews soon enough. So stay tuned for that. And you guys be easy. Peace.